The story behind Bugatti is one of brilliance, obsession, triumph, and heartbreaking tragedy. And to truly understand how this legendary brand was born, we must travel back more than a century to the basement of a house in Germany, where a young Ettore Bugatti had just finished building his first automobile. Born on September 15, 1881, in Milan, Italy, Ettore was raised in a semi-wealthy family, deeply rooted in art and creativity as his father. Carlo Bugatti was an internationally celebrated furniture and jewelry designer, and his grandfather a renowned architect and sculptor, while his younger brother Rembrandt would go on to become one of the most gifted sculptors of his generation. Although Ettore grew up surrounded by art, it quickly became clear that his true talent lay not in sculpture, but in engineering. As even without formal training, he demonstrated extraordinary mechanical intuition, repairing complex machines with ease by his teenage years. Recognizing his son's rare talent, Carlo encouraged Ettore to take an apprenticeship at the Preneti and Stucchi factory, where he worked on bicycles and engines, and by the age of 17, had already designed his own motorized tricycle, an achievement that introduced him to the thrilling world of speed mechanics and competition. At just 19 years old, Ettore left the company to pursue his own ideas, meticulously designing every component of his vehicles. Himself a perfectionist habit that would define his entire career, and his genius soon caught the attention of the Dietrich company, for whom he designed automobiles in Germany and France, earning his first professional contract while still a minor. During this period, Ettore began challenging conventional automotive thinking by placing engines and drivers low in the chassis to improve balance and aerodynamics, concepts that were considered strange at the time, but would later become industry standards. By 1907, Ettore was convinced that the future of performance lay not in massive engines, but in lightweight, precisely engineered cars, and while working for Deutz in Cologne, he secretly began building a small revolutionary automobile in the basement of his home, a car that would eventually become the Bugatti Type 10. Completed in 1909, the Type 10 was astonishingly light and agile for its era, and with it, Ettore quit his job, drove to Molsheim in Alsace, and founded Automobiles Ettore Bugatti, marking one of the happiest years of his life, as it also coincided with the birth of his first son, Jean Bugatti. Ettore used motorsport as a proving ground for his creations, and with the development of the Type L13 and its advanced multi-valve engine, Bugatti quickly established itself as a dominant force in racing, amassing hundreds of victories across Europe and earning global recognition for precision engineering and performance. After World War I temporarily halted production, Ettore returned to Molsheim and refined his designs even further, achieving legendary success with models like the Type 13 Brescia and later the Type 35, which became the most successful racing car in history with over 1,000 recorded victories. By the mid-1920s, Ettore, alongside his son, Jean, turned his attention to luxury automobiles, creating the Bugatti Type 41 Royale, the longest, most extravagant, and most exclusive car ever built, intended only for royalty and elite aristocrats, a masterpiece of engineering and artistry that symbolized Ettore's uncompromising vision. However, the Great Depression devastated global economies, and sales of luxury cars collapsed, pushing Bugatti to the brink of bankruptcy until Ettore accepted a government contract to build rail cars, a decision that ultimately saved the company, but strained his relationship with workers following labor disputes. Despite these challenges, Ettore found renewed hope in Jean Bugatti, whose brilliance and design talent produced iconic models such as the Type 57 and the legendary Atlantic. And together they led Bugatti into another golden era, culminating in victories at the 24 Hours of Le Mans in 1937 and 1939. Tragically, just months after the 1939 victory, Jean Bugatti was killed in a road test accident while attempting to avoid a cyclist. A loss that shattered Ettore completely, especially after already losing his brother Rembrandt years earlier. Only weeks later, German forces occupied Alsace and seized the Bugatti factory, forcing Ettore to flee, sell his company under pressure, and watch as everything he built was taken from him. After the war, despite his lifelong dedication to France, Ettore, accused of collaboration, burdened by debt, and devastated further by the death of his wife Barbara, leaving him physically broken and emotionally exhausted. Though his company and property were eventually restored, the victory came too late, as Ettore suffered severe illness and passed away in 1947, just days after regaining control of Bugatti, leaving behind an abandoned factory, in a legacy seemingly lost to time. For decades, the Bugatti name lay dormant until its revival in the late 1980s, and again in 1998 under the Volkswagen Group, which finally resurrected Ettore's dream with the Bugatti Veyron. A technological marvel that redefined automotive limits by becoming the fastest production car in the world, followed by the Chiron, which pushed those boundaries even further, ensuring that the vision of a perfectionist engineer born more than a century ago continues to live on through some of the most extraordinary hypercars ever created.